Hi and welcome to the HEMA channel from Ochs Munich. Today I'm going to talk a bit about different kinds of gloves that I have lined up with me. A few years ago, lacrosse gloves were basically the standard. That was like 8 years ago when I started out. Since then we've come quite far. The first evolution were really the Red Dragon gloves. As you can see, these have seen better days. The thumb is open on the inside and they are quite large as well for me. I can use basically any sword in these though. Whoops. Even shorter hilted ones, like this 27 centimeter reenactment sword. It's no problem using it really. Works nicely. I can move it through all the guards. The interference here is mainly caused by the forearm protectors, but they work. The thing is, as one might have guessed by their condition and the crack in this plate, they have very limited protection against hard impacts and for hard use. So people stopped using them for tournament style sparring a few years ago, and with good reason. 6 years ago or so, these came along. The sparring gloves by, well, Sparring Glove. Company name is the same name as the product. They have come quite far since then as well. These are my colleague's old ones. He's behind the camera. He's modified them with this steel thumb that saved his thumb probably more than a few times. But they are very mobile. They are heavily worn and also a bit of a dated design. But they are still available, they are still good, and we can still kind of recommend them. The ultimate protection comes from these here. Those are Bohot style steel mittens. These are hardened steel. They weigh a lot more, which I'll talk about in a bit. They are not as mobile, especially in the wrist. This is severely limiting. There are editions of those with a separated cuff that allows more range of movement here, but even still, I cannot really angle my sword forward because of this plate here as well. So those are limitations that these gloves have. Gauntlets more like. Let's put this here. Now, kind of similar in time frame to these were the SPES heavies. These are brand new. They have not really been worn and not used at all, because I'm planning to resell those for obvious reasons, that will become obvious in a bit. They are good. They offer really much protection, and they can be used with a sword like this still, though not really as comfortably. I can only get 2 fingers on the foreside of this pommel and the other 2 behind it. It's not optimal, but it works. The thumb is really, looks clumsy, it's okay, but it's not really, as we Germans say, the yellow from the egg. Now, on to the final or current iteration of the SPES Lobster Glove. They have 2 more new versions, the Lobster Red, which we do not have here, and this one, the Lobster Black. The Lobster Black edition offers a redesigned thumb, quite a bit more elegant than the old one, a bit narrower in the tip, way more protective also, because this is a rigid plate while these were basically foam, and it is quite mobile, offers me all the dexterity I feel I need, and it has this separated index finger. While obviously the index finger is a bit more vulnerable than if it was part of this huge plate here, it makes a much bigger positive difference in handling a sword than I would have thought. If I pick up my Regenier-Feder here, which I can do, as you see, it's not that easy picking up sword up with these, but I can easily angle it all the way forward with these gauntlets. And I did some sparring with it earlier with Adam. He beat me to hell and back, but that's not because of the gloves, that's because I kind of suck compared to him. He's just a better fencer. So I did not feel limited by those gloves like at all. And even though they are new, that's the first outing of them. So it's a short-term first impressions review more kind of deal. I took a few good beatings to them. The thumb has a few notches marks on it. The rivet there took a beat. And I also took one purely to the front of this finger here that was not absorbed, at least in the large part by the bigger plate, only by the index finger, and that was completely fine. It was a solid blow too, and I did not feel any pain. It was slightly uncomfortable. I got hit. That's supposed to be uncomfortable, I think. But I did not feel in danger for my fingers. One thing that I might want to improve on these, two things more, is this plate on the thumb here could use a concave part on here. Because right now, whenever I want to turn my blade a bit like this for this maneuver, for example, for a duplieren, I have to fight against this rounded surface. And if I grind that down or saw it off and round it concavely, it should be fine. The second thing that I might want to change, I'm not sure about that one yet, is grinding off this bit of this back plate, this middle finger plate, basically, so that I can extend the forefinger a bit more. Two reasons. One reason is I might be getting a double-ringed longsword soon that has a pair of rings here and a pair of rings further down. That will protect my finger if I put it over the cross, which I cannot really do like this. And for most applications, that's a completely nonsensical move. So for most applications, it's not a change that you will ever want, really. Although, that said, you can also extend the finger a bit more in a grip like this, like that. But that's not a big deal. So, first impressions of these? Yeah, please, more like this. They are fantastic. I had expected to have to wear them for a while and break them in, but first outing and they're basically fine from the get-go. I didn't feel limited by them basically at all. They are really, really mobile. I can do all the things I want. In new gauntlets, no less. Easily transition from thumb to regular grip and back. They're fine, they're great. Now, a few more stats on these. All of these, basically. Because they all have their upsides and downsides. I don't know quite the price on the sparring gloves, but I think I can get it from memory. Now, the Red Dragons, oldest design, basically a modified lacrosse gloves. They are by far the cheapest and lightest of these. They weigh 250 grams per glove. That's basically 8 ounces, half a pound. They cost 90 euros in Germany. They're cheap, they're easily available. For saber and things like sidesword, they are also rather adequate. For saber, they're great, but not for longsword. Sparring gloves, I don't know the weight on these because I didn't have them when I had my scales out. They're a bit heavier, not much, especially without the metal thumb. They are about twice the price. They should be about 160, 170 euros.
Yeah.
The SPES heavies, the lobsters, one of these weighs 505 grams. That's a bit over a pound. They are 170 euros per pair. So 170 euros per pair and a kilogram for both of those. The Bohot style mittens, these are from AgeofCraft, from the Ukraine. They are around 400 euros per pair, plus shipping, plus customs, plus import. So they are quite expensive comparatively. They do offer by far the best protection. There is no other way to put it. These are the best when it comes to protection. But they also weigh 980 grams per glove. That's basically twice as much as these, 4 times as much as a Red Dragon. Protection has its price, I guess. Now, the Lobster Black is a redesigned lobster, and it weighs 580 grams per glove. So a bit more than the normal lobster, but it's way more comfortable. So I would recommend that, I would say that this increase in weight is easily offset by the ease of comfort and ease of use that you have. Price-wise, they are 85 euros more expensive than the regular lobsters, 170 versus 245 in Germany. So they're not cheap, but also not horribly expensive. And I would say they are well worth the money, at least from my first impressions. There will be an update to this, and this update later in the year might also include impressions from the TOC Weapon Master and Sparring Glove Infinity model, which I will also be receiving later this year. I've been on a bit of a glove splurge this year. Yeah. So I guess all that's left to say is we hope that you enjoyed this overview over a few of the currently available sparring gloves and their development, and would like for you to join us next time when we either post some sparring footage, might do a commentary on that, or a gear update. Thanks for watching.